Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to be sitting across the mic today from Dr. Laurie Bruce. And we're going to change this up a little bit. We are going to use each other because we do this in just normal conversation with each other. We've worked with each other side by side. That we're going to give you client examples. We're going to hit a big topic today that we hear our clients talk about often. So instead of doing each other's intros, I'm just going to tell you really fast. My name is Lindsay House. I am a registered dietitian and an accountability coach, personal trainer, and I would like to dive into this topic of overwhelm. And Lori, you get the mic.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Dr. Laurie Bruce. I'm a clinical psychologist as well as a mindfulness coach. And so Lindsay and I both have been working together for many, many years. We share clients together and we collaborate and connect with each other often. And many of our clients lately have been talking about this experience of overwhelm, whether it's overwhelm in the health department, the fitness, the eating, the weight, the strength, or whether it's actually even feeling overwhelmed in the rest of their lives because of work, because of parenting, because of the sandwich feeling of kids and parents. So many things to feel overwhelmed about. I know Lindsay and I can relate to feeling overwhelmed. And so we thought this would be a really good discussion today. So, as Lindsay said, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to be just having more of a conversation and sharing some insights and strategies about how to manage the feelings of overwhelm.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Good. So let's start. So tell me, Lindsay, if you could, in working with your clients, what are some of the things that people share in terms of their experience of overwhelm? When you're working in the health and the fitness space, where do your clients seem to get stuck most often with this feeling?
I think this has almost two different parts, but I'm going to start with one that maybe everybody instantly could raise their hand and say, yeah, that's me, is the piece that we have so many options, and which is a beautiful thing, but it is also a, wait a minute, am I doing the right thing? Is this really going to make a difference? I think it lets our brain creep in and go, is that even going to matter anyways? Because you're not doing what your neighbor's doing. Your little couch to 5K isn't training for a marathon, or your yoga isn't this other person's hardcore body boot camp class. So I think a lot of overwhelm can just come from, where do I start? Where does this journey even need to become? And so, yes, decisions are a beautiful thing. And for some of us, it's the hardest thing in the world. And the perfectionism comes into play because if we're not doing it good enough or like somebody else, which is where that saying, eyes on your own paper always comes from.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, such a really good point about decision fatigue and just having so many options. And you shared about the fitness piece. Should I do yoga, couch to 5K? Should I do a marathon? Should I join a gym? I mean, there's a million things on the fitness side, but my brain first went to the food side. Like, oh my gosh, you go to a Kroger now and they're just huge. We have this new Kroger nearby my house that's one of these like Kroger marketplaces where they have even clothing and all this kind of stuff. It's crazy. And I think to myself, how did we get to this point when you think about the size of the grocery store when we were growing up versus today? It is this feeling of overwhelm with so many choices.
Yes, I love that you brought. Why does my brain not go to food? Like my profession is dietetics. And I'm like, oh, let's talk around food. This is real to the point of even the decisions of in the grocery store versus quick list orders or versus get them delivered.
Mhm.
Again, it's a beautiful place to be that we have all these options, but it's too much. So I actually was listening to another dietitian who deals more with ADHD clientele, and she says, I don't even allow myself to walk into a grocery store because just looking at the amount of choices and the lines and the people already like triggered her. And
Yeah.
I'm telling that to just the broad community too, because if you notice your shoulders go up when you walk in the grocery store and it's not a pleasant experience for you, maybe that's your opportunity to listen to your intuition a little and say, maybe I'm a good click list girl, like, or have my groceries delivered. And then I can see the cost of everything. I can see exactly what I meant to order.
Mm.
Because my goodness, when we have all those choices too, how easy is it to walk out? To your point, I'm like picturing the shirts and my groceries.
Exactly. My new dish set along with my dish towels, along with my bananas. It's like, good God. I mean, I just shopped and bought
$500 later.
exactly easily $500 later. Yes.
Yes.
So true. I love that idea. And I also love how you said check in with your body when you go into a grocery store. Check in with how is your body feeling. So are your shoulders tense? Notice the expression on your face. Like when I get stressed, I get these little wrinkles right up here. So notice how is your face and your body feeling as you go into the grocery store, and that will give you some indication of, is this enjoyable to me? Do I like having all these choices and slowly strolling along? Or do I actually find this unpleasant and stressful? And what are the ways that we could work on that?
Right. And if we can just flip that right back over to the fitness piece of that, everything that Dr. Bruce just said, I would say as you walk into whatever your movement of choice is supposed
Mhm.
to be that day,
Yes, love it.
that's we should get almost an instant feeling. I have a client that I just worked with today who told me 5 years ago, you will never make me like fitness. And, and we laugh about it now because she's like, I found my thing I actually like. I didn't like cardio. I like lifting. I
Mm,
don't walk out all sweaty. I don't walk out like to her, that's just this like, ah, I actually do like movement. So there was the same thing. There was intuition, there was body, face, everything that goes with when you speak about different forms of movement. So I kind of challenge that to our communities too. If you haven't said that you enjoy some form of movement, we have some onion layers and some barriers to dig through because there's something for you
yeah.
that you would enjoy.
Yeah, love that. Love that. That's so true. So, when Lindsay and I were first preparing for talking about this, we're talking in general about what creates the sense of overwhelm. And so, I really feel when we break it down to what actually causes the experience of overwhelm, we started out by saying there are just so many choices, so many choices. And so to me, I really think of two factors when it comes to our mindset around overwhelm. What at its core causes the feeling of overwhelm is having too many tasks, i.e., too many choices, too many options with a shortened window of time. So let's think about that for a moment. When we in our minds feel I've got to do all of these things, I need to make all of these choices or buy all of these things. But if we feel like we had an unlimited amount of time to do those tasks or to make those decisions, that's really not going to lead to overwhelm or stress. Okay. It's truly when we have so many choices or so many tasks in what we perceive to be a shortened period of time. That's what really truly causes this sense of overwhelm within our bodies and with our minds. And so to reduce overwhelm, we really have two choices. And Lindsay and I are going to talk about some ways we can do this. Our choices are to really narrow down mentally the number of choices. And that's by challenging ourselves, asking certain questions of ourselves. So we can either narrow down our options and or we can expand the mindset of how much time does it take for me to do these things. When we do either of those things, we're going to reduce our sense of overwhelm and we're going to feel more empowered.
And I love that you, as you just said, expand the mindset of time. Don't leave this topic. Let's dig there for
Okay.
one more second because this
Okay.
is a big deal that it really is a mindset. You're not just saying, just find more time.
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. Yes, it is all about the mindset of time, and I'm going to weave some mindfulness in here because that's truly our perception of our time is about the skill of mindfulness. When we are not trained in mindfulness, we are more likely to have the perception of either not enough time, we're going to be looking into the future or back into the past, as opposed to understanding how to do one thing at a time in each moment. And that's what gives us the perception or the mindset around time.
So if somebody is feeling ragged and they're like, you don't understand, I legit don't have an extra 20 minutes in my day,
Yep.
what would your response to them be?
So my response is total validation. You're right. And we're not trying to find extra. I'm not going to say, well, think about how much time you scroll on social media and blah, blah, blah. Like,
You're not judging.
yeah, we're not judging. We're not arguing that case. Like, let's
Yeah.
just go with that. You literally do not have an extra 20 minutes. So our goal then is not to find more time, is to change our perception of time. So, meaning that we're going to try to shift our mindset to one task in each moment. And I know that's really, really difficult because we're so prone to multitasking. We're so prone to trying to maximize the amount of things we can get done in each moment. But the reality is, multitasking leads to overwhelm. And so, what we're trying to do is reduce that and focus on one task, one goal, simplify so that it's one task in every moment. And that could be as simple as when I walk into the grocery store, I'm going to focus on my feet and the sensation of the steps walking into the grocery store. I'm not going to be thinking about my list. I'm not going to be trying to remind myself of all the things I need to do. I'm not going to be focusing on only healthy, don't buy snacks. I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm going to focus on the sensation of the bottom of my feet as I walk into the grocery store. And that's it. And in that sense, I know it may sound silly to some people who are not used to it, and I get it, but I would encourage you to be open and to try it. Just doing that, of focusing on one thing at a time, quiets our mind. It quiets it and it slows us down, and gives us the perception that we have more time.
So interesting. Okay. And I'm agreeing with you. And thank you for the specific example. Let's keep going. Can we expand that specific example over even a whole day? Like if somebody is overwhelmed because they put so much time and energy into losing weight. Let's go this direction for a
Okay.
second. And it felt like all that took up a lot of their time. And
Mhm.
so maybe work took a back seat, or maybe kids took a little bit of a back seat. And now they're coming into this maintenance phase where they're like, I can't put that much time and effort into fitness, into food. So like the overwhelm is coming from everything needs my attention.
Mhm.
And so work, kids, workout, healthy eating. I know I'm giving you a big example here, but like take a day like that and how to stay in each task.
And that is really the key and the challenge to reducing the overwhelm. That when we start our day, ideally, we would mindfully be in each moment, only focusing on one thing at a time. So that when I'm up in the morning and getting the kids ready for school and trying to do breakfast, there's ways that, of course, we can multitask all of those things. There's probably 30 tasks in the morning just getting the kids out the door. Okay. And rather than our mind being one, two, three, four, five steps ahead, as soon as I do this, I got to do that. And then I got to run this. And don't forget this. That's again the feeling of overwhelm. I've got all of these tasks in such a short period of time. So to shift that, the goal would be to focus on one thing. When I am making their lunches, that's all I'm doing.
Mhm.
I'm making their lunches. So what could be a mindfulness activity when we're making the lunches? I'm pulling out the bread. I'm smelling the yeast in the bread. I'm putting the sandwich meat down and feeling the texture of the sandwich meat. And even though people might say, oh my gosh, that would take forever, it really doesn't. It's just a matter of, am I paying attention to it or not? Because there's a fundamental difference between making up a sandwich, hurry up, putting things on. Oh my gosh, I got to do this and I got to do that. And hurry up, kids. That's overwhelm. But really, truly being present as you make the sandwiches and put them away. Okay, now I'm going to make them breakfast. Present as I'm making breakfast. We're doing one thing at a time, reduces that experience of overwhelm. And can we learn how to do that throughout the day? That's just the morning time. Now we go to work. Think about all the steps associated with going to work. We're going to be present as we're driving in and not thinking in our head all the 8,000 tasks that I have to do. We're staying present in the moment at each junction of our day.
Yes. Yeah, I'm like calmer just hearing you talk, how you're talking about this, because you're right. There's just the mindfulness piece is comfy in itself. And then this is going to take a lot of reps. It's going to be like put in the practice of, because maybe you just start with the morning routine, right?
Yes.
And then,
Whenever I teach people about mindfulness, we always start in very, very small increments. So it
Mhm.
might even be just 30 seconds. And certainly we're going to do 30 seconds, not at a time where people are pulling and asking things from you. So maybe in the beginning, if you have no experience with mindfulness, as soon as all the kids get on the bus and they're out, and maybe you have 5 minutes before you have to now run and jump in the shower and get ready for your day. Just imagining taking 30 seconds at that moment to just sit and maybe listen to the sounds around you. Focus on the sounds that you're hearing in your house. You might hear the hum of a dishwasher. You might hear the hum of an air conditioner. If you have windows open right now, you're hearing the hum of cicadas, which is kind of
Oh,
a creepy
not a
sound.
gentle hum.
Not a gentle hum, a horror movie hum. So we're going to be present with the sounds for 30 seconds, and it's very grounding. And so that's what I would encourage for the beginner. Take 30 seconds. And then throughout the day, see if you can take 30-second increments, maybe when you're in the car, when you're in the shower, when you're eating, and building that up over time so that it becomes a little more natural and becomes second nature.
You can shut me down on this because I'm not trying to pull in another topic, but I feel like it takes some boundary setting. Okay,
Yes,
you're
yes,
agreeing with that. They're like
100%. Yes,
they're connected.
100%. Very
Hmm.
much. And that sort of is a whole other topic that we can certainly bring in. Yes, being able to give yourself permission and space, even to take 30 seconds, can be hard for some folks because we have so many demands that are placed on us. So, learning how to mindfully set boundaries with others is crucial. What I try to also tell folks is it is not possible to be constantly mindful 24/7. That nobody does it. I've been practicing mindfulness for 25 years and I am not constantly mindful. Our job is to notice when our mind wanders into the future, the, oh my gosh, look at all the things I have to do, and then to gently bring our attention back to the here and now. And so it goes away, it comes back, it goes away, it comes back. And that sort of it's like strength training, that we are training our mind to notice, when am I going into the future or the past? This is not helping me. Future's anxiety, past is depression. So as soon as we can notice this is what's happening, we bring ourselves back into the present moment.
Right. So the real skill set is the noticing. It's the being aware.
Yes, that
Mhm.
is the hardest part. That is the hardest part.
Mhm.
We're mindfulness is building up the muscle of noticing and bringing ourselves gently back.
Yeah, I was going to say just step one for anybody. You and I witness it because we get to be with people all day. But there's this spectrum of the people who mindfulness kind of comes easy for them. They're already a little there. Maybe it's an environment they were raised in, maybe they're just their social scene, whatnot. And then there is literally the individual who the idea of catching it
Mhm.
is not even close to their radar.
Yes. And
Right? And
yeah, 100%. What I hear all the time is, I have ADHD. I can't do mindfulness. Okay. So, like, I argue with anyone that it does not matter how your brain works. You could have the most severe ADHD and you can still practice this muscle of mindfulness. Yes. Will it be harder for you because you have a neurological condition like ADHD? No doubt. But there is, even in the worst, most severe cases of ADHD, there's still opportunities to practice and to strengthen that muscle.
yeah, and I can see our women going, it might not be that, but it is the perimenopause for me. It's the brain fog. It's the
Yes. Yes, 100%. And I would say, even in the worst throes of your perimenopause, when your hormones are all over the place and we can barely remember our name, I promise you, there is opportunity to strengthen that muscle just a little bit and to bring just a little bit more peace to your day.
Yeah, I think that's so important to point out that we have society, speaking of overwhelm, telling us a bunch of things that could be happening to us, right? And they can be very real. And back to your point of we will validate, because there is no piece of this puzzle that's not like, if you feel that way, you feel that way. But I think that there's this piece of, oh my gosh, perimenopause. Oh my gosh, I might have insulin resistance or gut health issues because we have so many people speaking into us that yes, we can acknowledge something else might be going on, but at the end of the day, you still have that piece of control or take charge, as you say, that we can still practice something. Like nothing takes away your power to practice, even if it's yes.
Yes, I love that. And I would say that's probably the number one thing I try to tell clients every single day is we are empowered. Don't fall for the false belief that we are trapped or we're stuck or there's nothing we can do, because those are the thoughts that come in when we get overwhelmed and we have this whole list. And so it's like getting to the root cause. If we hold on to and get attached to that belief, there's nothing I can do, then we're really screwed. So it's
Mhm.
really addressing, okay, we may not be able to solve everything. We're not going to be able to do everything, and we're not going to be able to do everything perfectly. However, in the service of feeling empowered, what would be one thing out of all of those things that you just mentioned, Lindsay, the gut health, the perimenopause stuff, the food, the movement, I mean, there's so many things related to health. What would be one that we could focus on and make that our goal? So again, narrowing down our choices and expanding our time.
I love that. And it's kind of crazy. I think you and I have even gone through this exercise, but I've been really into sticky notes lately because you can simplify, narrow down, like you're saying, that my response to you would be I can control my water intake. I
Mhm.
can control that I wear my tennis shoes in the morning. We'll see if I work out. I don't
Mhm.
know, but I can
Mhm.
control that without my brain getting in my way and saying, that's not enough. You're not doing. So the idea
Yes.
that like if we can all get 5 to 10 sticky notes of things that feel very much empowering and in our control, and then we just show up to them as often as we can
Yes.
without expectation of perfection, right?
Mhm. Yes, 100%. Because when people, the thought that trips us up is, well, why is that even, what is that even doing? So say your
Mhm.
sticky note is control your water and wear your sneakers. Okay, like those are your two sticky notes. Okay, that feels like the only thing that you can manage comfortably. Great. But then the person goes to do it and they have the thought, well, how's that going to help me? I got 40 pounds that I need to lose. What is water and putting on my sneakers going to do? And what I try to help people understand is what we're talking about are mindset shifts slowly towards empowerment, towards that feeling of I am an agent in my own life. If I don't like how my life is right now, I'm the only one who's coming to save me. Nobody else is going to come and rescue me. There's no magic bullet. There's no Prince Charming. There's nothing outside of us that's going to come and miraculously put all the pieces together for me. I'm the only one who can do that. And as long as I hold on to this belief that either I can't or it's too much, we're going to be stuck. So even a small thing like I can control my water and I can put on my sneakers in the hope that that will get me to move, what we're doing is we're strengthening our empowerment muscle. And that's the only way we're going to get from A to Z.
Yes, thank you. That was so beautifully said. Yes, it's this ripple effect. I don't use the right words, but it's the
Yeah.
ripple of one thing leads to the next. And sometimes we don't need to know the outcome, right? Like that's
Oh,
where
for
we can get
sure.
tripped up. It's just, can we have the faith and the show up is going to
Yes.
lead to the outcome. I feel like I cut you off before and you were going to go down this path and I liked it. It was kind of like the traps of overwhelm. You rattled off a few, but I have a feeling you kind of have a concise list that you could give our listeners that you were starting to say when we're in overwhelm, we can have these feelings. We can feel trapped. Can you go through that?
Yep. So I don't know if I necessarily have a list, so I'm just going to randomly think of some
Okay.
things. The sense of overwhelm is actually creating physiology in our brain. So our cortisol levels are going up. There's hormonal changes that are actually leading to that tension, that anxiety, that stress, that worry. And so some of the thoughts that we are likely to experience when we feel overwhelmed are there's too many choices or there are too many tasks. I'm not capable of getting all of this done. So some catastrophizing, okay, in terms of like, I can't get all of these things done, and that's going to lead to really bad consequences. So a lot of future thinking, it's always going to be this way. I'm never going to be able to get all of these things done, and it's going to have these consequences long term, not just short term. It leads to this sense of feeling stuck and disempowered, trapped, that helpless, hopeless feeling. And if you see this in multiple areas of your life, it can truly lead to a clinical depression. So, those are kind of the things that come to my mind. Do you have any others you can think of that you hear?
No, I was just gonna thank you. That was so good because they need watch outs, right? Like if
Mhm. Yeah.
somebody's going, I feel all of that, then you could probably be like, then we're dealing with overwhelm and we need to talk about it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And when
Okay.
we have this experience of overwhelm over an extended period of time, we really run the risk for what we talk about as burnout. Burnout, sometimes we kind of use in that occupational or work capacity, but we can feel burnout in a variety of different areas. So you might feel this sense of overwhelm or burnout at work. You might feel the overwhelm and burnout associated with your physical health, your mental health. And when we have burnout across multiple areas, that's when we start wanting to ask the question, okay, is this actual clinical depression?
Yeah, I can completely see that. And I guess my question back to you on this is when somebody's experiencing it and they feel like they're working on it. So, one from just like a hope standpoint, can you be in this feeling of overwhelm and burnout and within months not feel like that anymore? Yes. Okay.
Yes, 100%. So even if it is a clinical depression, I would give hope to people that with the right professional treatment, within a couple of months, your depression can potentially go into remission with the right treatment. But if we're just going to focus on kind of the wellness side of things and maybe feeling burnout just in your health space, health and weight space, you can stop that feeling of overwhelm within a day, within an afternoon. I mean, to me, it's all about mindset. If
Mhm.
you are holding on tight, and I talk a lot about this with my clients in terms of their thoughts. How tightly am I going to hold on to this belief? Or can I be open to the possibility that this belief is not true? It's just a thought. A thought is not reality. A thought is just a sentence that goes through our head. Most of our thoughts, in fact, are not true. We have a lot of bullshit that just goes through our heads all the time. I'm not enough. I'm not thin enough. I need to do this. I need to do that. I can only have X, Y, Z. I mean, our mind is full of stuff that isn't true. So, how tightly do we want to hold on to this thought? If I can loosen the grip on the thought, I have so many things to do and I'm never going to get there. If we could be open to the possibility, maybe that's just a thought. Maybe that isn't true at all. Maybe that's what I've been conditioned, or maybe my parents role modeled that for me, or I have an environment that's set up to create that feeling within me. But maybe it's not true. Maybe none of it is true. And I can learn how to just focus on one thing at a time and expand that window of time for me to be able to reach my goals. That is like peace in that moment. You don't even have to wait months.
That's amazing. And I agree with that. Do you feel like perfectionism can exacerbate this feeling of overwhelm? Like I'm picturing it with some of my perfectionistic clients who are like, I cannot take away time from certain things or I'm not going to be giving it my best. That is a mindset plus. Like we're dealing with multiple factors.
Yeah. To me, what is perfectionism? Perfectionism at its core is really just adding more things to the list. Because think
Mm,
about it, it's like if it's good enough, I'm just going to do this thing good enough, and then you're done. But if it's perfection, if I have to do this to perfection, think about all kind of like the subcategories of what does that even look like to do something perfectly. We've just expanded the demand upon
mhm.
us. So reducing that perfectionism at its core is really just reducing the demand. I'm going to do this task, but it's going to be C plus level completion because that's good enough. That's all I need to do. And making it perfect isn't going to improve the quality of my life or anyone else's life in any fundamental way.
It goes back to your mindset piece of like, what am I willing to let go of?
Yes.
Which
Yes.
would be a hard one for some people. But if they're not willing to let go of it, then they're holding themselves back, is kind of what I'm hearing out of
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Willingness to let go of our thoughts, let go of the perfectionism, let go of these old beliefs, let go of our old stories that we have
Hmm.
about ourselves, our capabilities, our future. Can we just be open to the possibility that some of these stories are just blatantly false, not
Right.
helpful, making our lives much more stressful and much more difficult than they need to be?
Gosh, I know. It's interesting. It's one of those, I just feel like I can see so many conversations with this where they could hear that. And
Yeah.
I think it's just like a really hard belief system because
Yes.
then there's like underlying belief systems in there. I think for anyone listening, going, I hear you, but the
Mhm.
reason why you can't fully grasp this yet is because there's more conversation around it.
Absolutely. That I 100% feel that at its core, if we were to break it down, again, we're talking a lot about like looking at the core beliefs or the things that are underneath it all. That core belief of I'm not enough
Hmm.
is for many people the driver of all of our pain and suffering because we imagine in order for me to be enough, I have to do all these millions of things. And so certainly we can talk about that on a
A different
separate
day.
episode.
Yes, thank you. Because I'm like, oh, you just nailed it already. And that's where I would want to go with it. So I think for today, we'll let everyone stew on this a little bit. We gave everybody a lot to think on. And
Mhm.
it would be just as, again, as a good wrap up, the idea that just taking each moment that we can throughout the day and practicing the
Mhm.
mindfulness that you were talking about would be a great takeaway, a great actionable step to
Yes.
practice and then come back and have more discussion around it.
Perfect. Yes,
Do
absolutely
you
perfect
feel
summary. Yep.
okay,
I think that from the health and fitness side, if you were to take one thing, like Lindsay said, the sticky notes, what's one, two, three things that you feel that you could really focus on? And our goal would be to be mindfully present and practicing in very, very small increments throughout the day. And that when that thought occurs to you, why am I even bothering to do this? That we're going to remind ourselves we are strengthening our empowerment, our self empowerment muscles. We are teaching ourselves that we are capable, that we are competent, and that we can achieve anything we set our minds to. It's just we're going to be mindful of how many tasks we have on our agenda, how perfectly we have to do them, and how long we imagine it's going to take. Those are the two things we're going to work on.
thank you. That's so perfect. And where is the best place for individuals to find you if they would like to go binge listen to some of your information?
Awesome. Best way to reach me is through my podcast, From Both Sides of the Couch, where I talk about all things related to mental health and mindfulness. And I also have a website, which is drlauriebruce.com. That's DRLAURIEBRUCE.com. Best way to reach me. And you
Awesome.
as well, Lindsay?
Yes, Direction Not Perfection podcast is where I typically live the most out of my week, and healthaccountabilitycoach.com is my website. And I just appreciate today. I think this is really fun to get to do something like this, a little more back and forth, a little more casual. And I'm going to encourage both sides of our listeners, both communities, that when you hear something that's serving you so well, could you please go ahead and forward that to somebody that you think could benefit from that as well? Because it helps Dr. Bruce and I's message, one, get out into the world. But I think you'd be surprised how many people aren't surrounded by this information if they're not naturally into podcasting. I think I take it for granted sometimes that I have all this amazing information coming into my ears, or I get to be with professionals like you across the way on a Zoom call, that this isn't everybody's normal, and you can help introduce other people to a way to get to this information. So,
Yeah, excellent point. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Always
oh
a
my
pleasure.
goodness. You too. Mwah.
Ah.